Hi everyone, it's Kim. Thanks for joining me. Well, the holidays are over. We can take a deep breath and maybe now find a little bit of time just to sit and play at our craft desk. When Karen Burniston revealed her latest relief at the end of November, I could not wait to get my hands on it. And this is what I have been playing with here for the last couple of weeks just to enjoy and have some fun. Her latest collection has 15 dies. This is a huge collection, 15 dies and 5 new stamp sets. And when I saw her release video, I just went crazy. I could not wait to get my hands on it. Because it is so large, we're going to do this in 2 shots. Today, we're going to start with the Playful pop-up and all of the add-ons that we can use with this new mechanical die. And then next time, we're going to focus on the animal add-ons for the pop-up balls and a couple other dies that go with that allow us access to that rubber band on the inside. So if you have used the pop-up balls, you'll know how great these access tabs are. But today, let's focus on the Playful pop-up. Let me just show you real quickly the dies that we're going to go through because there are a lot of them. And I used most of them, but what I love is I've got all these extra ideas to play with for the future. So there's 3 word dies, woof, meow, and roar. And we will use some of these in our cards today. Then we have the Playful pop-up, which is the mechanical die we're going to focus on. This is so neat and so many ideas that we can do with this. The add-ons for this are the dog and cat playful add-ons. So if you have not seen Karen's video, you will just not believe what these guys can do. Plus the monster playful add-on. And then to help decorate our cards, whether we use the Playful pop-up and the add-ons or just other cards that we have the dog borders, the cat borders, and the bug borders. So we'll take a look at those. Then we have a new pine cone set that is just a beautiful set, a very dimensional pine cone. But I did use this in one of the cards, and the greeting labels. So if you have not watched Karen's video showing you what's all in this die set, I encourage you to do that because she's got some great samples and she talks about like the labels, how they coordinate with all of the labels in the die set she may currently have. So these are not exact duplicates. They may have the same shape but a different size, so they can all be used together. But let's start with this Playful pop-up. Again, like I said, when I saw her video, I couldn't believe how cool this was. So I'm going to start with the cat and dog because in our house, the dogs are the queen and the princess. And we have neighbor cats that like to come over and taunt them. So this is a real life event at our house. When the kitties come over and they're hiding out in the trees or in the garden and the dogs spot them from inside, then we have a lot of craziness and recreational barking inside the house. So our 2 dogs just go berserk when they see the cats outside. And again, lots of barking. But look at how that dog moves. There's 4 different points where there is a movable part. So we've got the tongue that goes back and forth, one of the ears, and then the 2 paws. I just couldn't believe this. I was speechless when I saw this. So let's look at what I used to put this card together. So in addition to the Playful pop-up mechanism, which is this piece here, I used the dog and cat playful add-ons. So the dog for the inside. And then on the outside of the card, I just used the facial features of the cat. I didn't use the paws and then like a background for the face. You know what's there. You can tell that that's a little kitty sneaking through the tree. And then for the branches and the pine cone, that is from the beautiful pine cone die set. In the pine cones, there's 2 different sizes, a small and a large. And this is a very dimensional, and I'll just kind of try to pull this up a little bit. This top layer, you can kind of poke up each little part of the pine cone there. I could pull all of those up if I wanted. Mine kind of gets flattened out after a while, but you can make that as dimensional as you want. And then those beautiful pine branches. And there's also a little branch with berries. I didn't use it on this particular card, but down the road I'll show you another one with that. And then on the inside we've got woof woof, one of the words. And there is a shadow or background die for those letters that you can use. There's also a little paw print. I didn't use it on this card, but it works great if you wanted to do something maybe with the paws here, or I could have just put the paw by the words. And then life is better with a dog, and that's from the new Dog Saying stamp set. So a number of different occasions that we can use a stamp set for. Always a happy birthday, but plenty of other occasions we can use that for. And then finally, I used for my little background for the stamp, the greeting labels. And then to make this little ribbon here, I just used this little ribbon die and folded it in half just to add a little more to that sentiment, just to fill in the space a little more. So that is our first card with this collection. Now we got to give the cats equal time, and we're going to look at a kitty in a minute. I always watch Karen's videos when they first come out of how to put this together because I get so many good hints. She shows different ways to use this than just this way that we see here. But one thing I do want to talk about for just a minute is the mechanism that's inside here. Let's see if we can kind of get that. It's hard to see. But the piece that gives us all of our little arms that stick out and how that works. And she has some great tips on that. And one thing that I always do when I get one of her new dies, her mechanical dies, is I just put it together with scrap paper so I can see how it works. And this is where I learn what to do and what not to do. Now, she talks about using 65-pound cardstock and gluing or adhering those two pieces together for this mechanism, this K mechanism. And that's what it looks like. Watch the video and do as she says. Now, I did not know. I just took the lightest cardstock I had in my stash and combined it and then put it together. But my piece for the tongue here did not go all the way over. So I'm just going to tell you what I did because I didn't have, well, I have 65-pound cardstock, but I didn't pull it out of the package. I just used what was in my stash. So this is the one that I made with what I thought was 65-pound cardstock. And truly, when she gives you this hint, take it. So by accident, I had used some much lighter weight paper. I'm going to say it was a really nice heavy duty copy paper. And I just made one for kicks. And I thought, oh, that works really good. So for me, I had more success. It was easier for me to bend the lighter weight 24-pound paper. And I went to Michael's and they have some 24-pound paper. So I just got like the neutral colors. You can get it in colored paper. It really doesn't matter what color you use for the bottom. And if you needed for some reason to color it, you could just use a marker or some ink. But if you want to get some colored paper, you can. But when I folded the heavier duty one, you can kind of see how right here I couldn't get as good of a crease. But when I play with this one, it was easy for me to fold. And this one is flexible. So all the cards that I'm going to show you today, I use this 24-pound cardstock to make this K mechanism. And you can see I've kind of cut one out. I made this and then I'll just cut this whole thing out. But I just took a sheet of paper and I have this wide double-sided tape. Now, Karen used her tape runner and just really plastered it all over, but I thought I don't have enough tape runner to do that. You could also use a glue stick. Just make sure it's, I'm going to say a fresh glue stick and not dried out. I tried it with my dried out glue stick and I did not have success because it was too dried out. But I have this large double-sided tape. So I just folded my paper in half, put this down on one side. I'm not going to even worry about going to the edge. As you can see here, it really doesn't matter. You just don't want a die cut over there. then I can just pick up the liner piece. And I did burnish that down. Fold this over and I'll burnish that real good. And this is going to be the piece. And I'm just going to sit and die cut out a ton of these K shapes. And then I'm ready to go. So try your lightweight cardstock. And if you still kind of struggle with that, find some heavier duty copy paper. There's some nicer copy paper. Or, take your coupon and run to Michael's and get some 24-pound paper. But for me, I had great success doubling up that 24-pound paper. And then my mechanism, this leg on the bottom, went all the way over very easily. So that's what I've used in this. And you can see how that tongue goes clear to the other side. So I just share that in addition to what Karen says on her video. For me, I had much more success without struggling with all my mechanisms moving with the 24-pound paper. Okay, time for the kitties because we got to give equal time to the cats, right? So I have a cat toy log here, bunch of cat toys. And then when I open it up, and this is a mini slimline card, so you can use it in smaller card bases. We've got 2 cats that are going crazy for their toys. And Karen talks about how we can line these up in different ways. We're going to look at that. Let's go back to our dog and cat add-on. So I just used this cat twice, cut out 2 mechanisms twice. I did kind of lay this out and play with it before I glued all the pieces on to make sure nothing collided and that everything worked smoothly. So I've laid this one out in a horizontal fashion, but you can see we could do it vertical, just as easy. And we've got a lot on there and really a limited amount of space because this is 3 by 6. So on the outside, I used the cat borders, the yarn, the mice, and the fish bones, and I just cut them all up, cut them apart, and used them separately. On the inside, I used the cat sayings. So again, some great sayings for your kitties. And I've got some cat friends I know I'll definitely be using this for. And then again, I used the greeting labels to layer up those 2 squares with the stamped sentiment. So some great, just so many great ideas that are out there. So get online too, check out what's on there. But and then I will say one last thing for my cat toy log. The mini alphabet and number set is what I used for my letters. And again, that's from Karen. Okay, so let's look at the Monster Playful add-ons, our last add-on set of characters. Love these monsters. So this time, I've got 2 monsters head on head. And this is another way we can use this, and Karen talks about that in her video. And I've just got that horn hook there. Oh, here. I pulled this paw out here, and let me fix that a little bit there. Okay, there we go. So you can see how that works. I played with this one so much I bent that out there a little bit. But Karen talks about how we can stack one on top of the other. So again, check out her video. So this is a third way we can use it, stacking them on top of each other. So for this one is the Monster Playful add-ons. So I did use, for the head on this one, I used just the top layer here from the Playful pop-ups. It does have a slit in it, but that was not a big deal because my mouth goes over it and you can see the slit in my mouth. Not a big deal. And then I used the arms or the legs, I guess, of the monster there, and rawr, another one of the new words. Again, there's a little dinosaur paw print or a monster paw print. And then on the inside, there's the monster paw print. I use the monster sayings. So again, some great sayings for multiple occasions. And this time this one has a tooth and a tongue. So I had a great time with this. I did change up the horns a little bit. Normally, when you put these together, one of the horns lays like at the other side of the head. This is the one that moves, and this would be the stationary one. Unfortunately, if I did that, it would be over this guy's eyes. So I just moved it to the other side. And granted, it's below the mouth, but I think you notice that there's two horns and you don't think a lot about it. But again, I love the monsters because you can just go crazy with the colors, change up the eyes with the mouths, whatever you want to do. But there's our third character add-on plus a different way of doing it, a third way of doing it. So let's look at one more of the monster add-ons. And this idea, how this one works, came from Sandy Diller, who is one of Karen's design team members. So let me show you this one. We've got our birthday cake. And this time I just used the eyes and the horn of the monster. Again, I think you know something's peeking out from behind because I kept the outside simple because all of the action is on the inside. So we've got a single monster, but instead of being tucked into the inside fold, and I'm going to go back to this one since we're talking about one, instead of being tucked on the inside fold of the card, it has a new fold created by a new pop-up on the inside. And this idea was done from Sandy Diller. She used the piano keys. And let me get the Lorna label here that I used. So I used this Lorna label, the Lorna label pop-up, and then I combined it with the Happy Birthday Lorna add-on. So they've got all sorts of add-ons for the Lorna label. So you could just use any of those that you wanted. And you could also do this with the little labels pop-up. It's just a longer base, but it works the same way. So instead of my card base being the 90-degree angle that I have the backside of my mechanism butted up against, I have the base of the Lorna label. That gives me that same 90-degree angle. So it works the same way. Let's see here. So you can see where my dog and then the Lorna label. So think of all of the dies you might have that has this kind of a base that forms a 90-degree angle that you can butt up this pop-up, this playful pop-up mechanism to, and then make it whatever character you want. So Sandy used the piano keys, which is like this. You could use this one. I used the cupcake from the cupcake pop-up. I was just like, oh, I need a cupcake. So this is what I used, is this cupcake. But after I got to looking at this has the same kind of base on the cupcake. If we look here, the cupcake has that same kind of base that we have right here. This little box that makes another 90-degree angle. So go back and look at all of your dies that you have from Karen that create this little box here with a 90-degree angle. And you can use the Playful pop-up mechanism, just butt it up against that. So I love how this turned out. Again, the cupcake on the outside is from the cupcake pop-up. My candle was just sitting on my desk, so I thought I'm going to use it. This is from one of Tim's die sets. I was too lazy to go find some others. And then the balloons are from Karen. Now I don't remember which die set that was. I think that was from the Lorna label. Yes. The Happy Birthday Lorna label add-on, so I used the balloons for that. And then Hope Your Birthday is Wild is from the Monster stamp set. And then we've got those great, I've got so many dies sitting around here. We've got those great greeting labels that I use for the stamp set. So lots and lots we can do with all of these dies. And then, even though maybe we want to do something, you can see all the great ladybugs on this. So you can utilize the border set for that. This die comes with some wonderful ladybugs. So just think of what all you could do besides the character add-on. So I decided, oh, I'm going to do one of these, but I want to do something other than ladybugs. So I did the bees buzzing by with a happy high. And boy, if I don't have a lot of bees on this card. Now, I would not have to use all of those arms, but if you've got them, I thought I got to play with them. Lots of bees. One thing I did a little different here, I covered up the slot for the tongue or for the piece that the arm that sticks out here. So what I did in playing with this is I just kept the arm underneath. I didn't put it through that slot, and I did have to kind of fussy around with this a little bit. And I have sort of like a strange Z arm coming out. Again, I just played with this just to make this work. You wouldn't have to use that arm, but I thought, I'm going to play with it and see what I can do. So I was able to get a fourth movable bee. So this is what is normally the ear. And these two are the two paws. Karen also explains in her video how you can take this arm or the other arm as well and glue it back up kind of in that crease there. So now it lays flat, but then it pops upwards as opposed to like the arm or leg coming out along the card base. This pops up. So again, there's so many things we can do. I can't wait to see what all comes up with this that people have discovered. So get on Karen's video if you're into this mechanism and see what all she's done with it. The bees are all from the bug border. Here, let me find that one here. So I just took the bees and I cut them all apart. Very easy to do. And there's a stencil feature here so I could make my black lines. And then the just because is from the bug greetings. Lots of different little sentiments there. And my flowers are from the poinsettia die just because I was making holiday cards and I had this out. But instead of making them red or pink or white, I thought I'll just make them blue, and chances are my recipient isn't going to really know that that's a poinsettia. And then, of course, this background is from the greetings labels. So this fits so many of the stamp sets so perfectly. I was able to get a lot of use out of that. So I had a great time playing with this die. It was very, very difficult for me to set it aside and move on to something else. But I can use this for multiple things, more than just dogs and cats and monsters. Although I have to say, I could not get enough of the character dies. And I know I'm going to be sending a lot of dog and cat and monster cards out, especially for birthdays, to friends and relatives. And I'll be honest, I'm like a little kid and I just sat here and played with these so much. So I hope that gives you some new ideas, something new to play with as we start a brand new year in crafting. And thank you for joining me, and I'll see you again in a future video.